Hi everyone, welcome back to If My Heart at Wings, Kotori's Route, Episode 9, where Kotori is now flying for the first time in this newly modified glider. So the glider now has controls that Kotori can use to fly, so no more pedals and everything is operated by hand. So also in Episode 8, Kotori got to fulfill one of the items on her to-do list that she wrote, and we've seen it before in Episode 6 in the common route, and it's to visit this cafe. I forgot the name, but it's expensive. And now there's one more item on that list, which is to fly through the passages of clouds, and that's what I was going to try to help Kotori achieve. So let's see how it goes from here. Oh, so also in Episode 8, Kotori bought a really nice blue dress, and it kind of made everyone else jealous. So Ageha, Yoru, and Asa. Well, anyways, going back to this flight. So I was like, so it's just like I said, so it's fine. So so the concentrated voice came back. So Kotori, who was riding the thermals, did so with complete concentration. And I saw the scenery on the ground fading away and was honestly surprised. So I have practically nothing left to teach. So I think Kotori can handle this very well. So finally, all the basic operations are practically perfect. So to say it wasn't she fast wouldn't be true. So basically Kotori's a fast learner. So no matter how many times you use the simulator, the simulation and real flying are not the same. True? But Kotori quickly came to trust her intuition and was able to find the unseen thermals and take the glider high. And flying in a glider, the sense of flying in a glider might be the most amazing thing ever. So while gazing at the other side of the canopy, Kotori muttered. And the glider steadily climbed higher. And this thermal is a good one, and quite strong. So there's quite a bit of crosswind right now, so we should be careful, okay? And I explained as Kotori looked down. Well, that's because we are twice as high up as Tokyo Tower right now. So right now, our altitude is approximately 700 meters. So I'm not sure how high that is in feet, but I'll have to go and calculate it later. So it was a good thermal, and it was Kotori's first time at this height. So Windmill Hill is almost directly below us. At this height, we had a near unbroken view. True? And the hill ran semicircular along the lake. That shape stops the wind blowing across the sea. So the force builds and runs up the hill, causing the windmills to turn. Wow, good facts. The winds come off the lake and stops where the half-moon lake ends. And when that happens, the collective strength of the wind runs up the hill. And the windmills were built there because of this phenomenon. Kotori sighed softly for a moment. So even though we already are flying in the air, Kotori doesn't need her legs. Only in times like this could I truly see to feel free. Okay, I knew it. So Kotori, rather than letting somebody fly you, fly yourself suits you. So I think it's better if you actually do the flying yourself because you have all these ambitions and dreams and I think I'm holding you back. Kotori's thought about it like a little before answering.
そうかも。私、小鳥って名前でしょ。小さい頃からなんとなくいつも空を見上げてたの。飛んでみたいなって思いながら。
So my name is Kotori, which stands for little bird, and it kind of suits me very well.
まさか叶うなんて思ってなかったけど。
Well, my father named me. So Aoi means blue. My hobby was photography, or his hobby was photography. He would often take pictures of the sky, and on the day I was born, the skies were bright blue, and that's why he named me Aoi, or so he says. And like I said, Aoi stands for blue in Japanese.
へえ。じゃあここは葵くんの故郷みたいなもんだね。
Yeah, so we are kind of the same. So our names do have its purpose. So during that embarrassing exchange, we laughed as we answered. And now that you mention it, when I heard how I got my name, it was clear blue day as well. And it had that special feeling to it. So well, now that you mention it, okay, I already read that. So after that, I learned that the character from my name Aoi actually refers to a greenish blue color. So it kind of disappointed me. So I wonder if it's like turquoise or... I'm not sure.
空の上って気持ちいい。ずっと飛んでいられたらいいのに。
So being in the glider bound by gravity soaring this sky created an odd feeling. I saw Kotori's profile in the canopy as she gazed out, and I thought she looked like being like from a faraway place. So that was negligent. Always pay attention to the conditions of the atmosphere pressure, so don't forget. And if you don't, we'll fall.
Hi.
So with a strong answer, Kotori gripped the yoke firmly.
こっち片付け完了しました。
Okay, so they're back on ground.
お疲れさー。今日はこれでおしまいね。
So we flew until sunset and then left the field. Between maintain and rest days, we got in 5 flights.
今日は1回のフライトが長かったよね。
So there certainly were some great thermals, and it was an ideal soaring conditions. So the best way to progress is to fly as much as possible. And because the flying times are restricted, it's best to be in the sky as long as possible. So basically they can't fly at night. Today, Kotori certainly improved even in her takeoff and landings.
小鳥は本当にすごいな。同じ人間とは思えないぞ。
Amane was quite impressed with today. So all that's thanks to the cockpit that Amane designed for us.
うん、役に立ってよかった。
Well, I'm glad I helped. Well, by the way, so where do you go?
あの人なら外にいたわよ。片付けサボってぼーっとしてた。
Asa stepped out for a minute and told us.
今日はもう終わりだって言ってきて。
Okay. So when we left our secret base, Kotori momentarily gazed into the evening sky. So what are you doing?
体が揺れてるように感じるの。まだ空の上にいるみたい。
So this is the top of the hill. From here, if you look just right, it could seem like you were in the air, flying. And even though this was your first flight, you got a considerate amount of flying time in. So Kotori looked up into the sky. She seemed to yearn completely for the sky.
どうしよう。私、明日からもう普通じゃいられないかも。
So now that the new factor is wearing off, I wonder how it's going to fare.
だってこんなに楽しいことをしちゃって、頭の中が空っぽになっちゃったみたい。
Or more like Kotori's too excited about what she experienced today. It's like, well, now it's going to change my thinking. So I was just like that on the first day of my first flight. So living with your feet on the ground even felt annoying. Well, it would be amazing if I could fly again, and again. And with that goal in mind, I spent a whole year preparing. So the sky was a daytime blue full of countless twinkling stars. And Kotori's eyes shone like the stars as she gazed in the love at the sky. Okay, so what's going on now? So a day near the end of August. So at the start of summer vacation near the half-flying Fish Manor residents leave, it has been a while since the building has been crowded.
野菜切り終わりました。こっちもできたわ。鍋煮えてるわよ。次どうするの？これオーブンに入れて焼くのよね。何分くらい？
So everyone was asking for my instructions all at once. I feel like a master chef. Well, that's been true for a while. So, okay. So the cut vegetables into the boiling water, cover the pot and let it boil for around 10 minutes. Wait a minute on baking that. So bake it together with these. So while snapping instructions on the fly, I myself also had a job to do. So what is Aoi doing? So it had been a long time since I prepared dinner for such a large number of people. Oh, okay, so they're getting guests.
私は何をすればいいかな?
I think they're gonna push Amane to the side again. Oh, Amane, so could you come over here and check out the TV?
危ないから包丁持っちゃダメよ。かな、Amaneちゃんのおもりよろしく。
It's like, well, Amane can't do anything, and it looks like she's holding the knife in a very dangerous manner.
はいよー、望月先輩、こっちで一緒にテレビ見ましょう。私も何かしたいのに。
So even though she really did want to help, Kanako dragged Amane in front of the TV. Okay, so once again they push Amane to the side. The people and food, the heat and the fire from the oven and stove mixed together, it seemed like a war zone. So why does it suddenly feel like this?
ついに合宿だよ、夜ちゃん。ワクワクだね。別にいつもと変わらないと思うんだけど。自分の部屋で寝るんでしょ?
So today is the first day back at the Soaring Club dormitory. However, the truth is that nothing really changes that much anyways. So basically, Kotori, Asa, and Yoru, and Aoi live in the Flying Fish Manor, and they're all part of the Soaring Club. It's just Ageha who lives somewhere else. So Ageha still stays at her family home, and Amane still comes here for free food. Okay. So this is what dorm life is about. And just like last year, there is an early morning watch duty. So they're trying to find when the morning glory would come again. So by the end of summer, a morning glory will make an appearance. It wouldn't be strange for that to appear anytime now. And to be on watch duty means that you had to stay overnight at the secret base and watch for even the slightest change in weather. So I prepared dinner earlier than usual to try taking advantage of having everyone gathered immediately from tonight. We will have a meeting. Okay, so finished.
美味しそうな料理がたくさん。
So come over here and help me bring it to the table. Okay, so the food that everyone prepared was carefully to the table, and the sight of so much hearty food on platters seemed to put everyone in good spirits.
久しぶりの葵くんのご飯だ。
And it's obviously going to make Amane happy.
お腹すいたよ。もう食べていい？
So before we start, the leader has a few things she would like to say. So Kotori cleared her throat with authority.
皆さん、この一年本当にご苦労様でした。いよいよ私たちの目標であり夢でもあるモーニンググローリーを飛ぶ日が近づいてきています。本番は一度きり、失敗は許されません。夏が終わるまでの間、気合を入れて絶対に失敗しないよ。長いぞ小鳥。
Come on, hurry up!
もうお腹ペコペコだよ。ねえ、私ソアリング部じゃないし、先に食べてていいかな。こいつら。
So everyone's like, come on, Kotori, hurry up with your speech so that we can start eating. Come on, so seriously, it's gonna get cold.
わーったわよ。美味しいものお腹いっぱい食べて気合い入れていくわよ。
Fine then.
はい、いただきまーす。
So at once, everyone scrambled to take food.
たくも気分台無しだわ。
Well then... well, when you go out with all the guns blazing, it's hard to keep the momentum up until and
そんなことないもん。私は最後の一兵になっても戦うわ。
well, up until the end. Well, I'm not sure exactly what I'm off to fight, but I'm going in with great fighting spirit. And since I flew the glider the other day, my motivation has been boundless, but wasted. And over the past few days, from dawn till dusk, I have been practicing flying. I've kept my exhaustion hidden, however, my improvement in flying is physically visible.
あの綺麗な雲がまた見られるんですよね。そういや、朝ちゃんは去年の雲を風車の丘から見てたんだっけ？はい、すごく綺麗でした。あの雲も空を飛ぶグライダーも。でもあれよりもすごいんですよね。
It would be cool.
あれは厳密にはモーニンググローリーとは呼べないものだったからね。
Amane makes a beautiful mess eating as she speaks.
あまねちゃん、食べるか喋るかどっちかにして。
So which one is it? Eat or speak?
あれこそが今年の夏に本物のモーニンググローリーが来る予兆だったんだ。
So today we heard that last year's cloud sighting could well be a sign that it was this year a real morning glory was indeed coming. The story goes back a few hours ago. So the computer screen showed a variety of data types that Amane referred to.
つまり
この夏の終わりにモーニンググローリーが発生する可能性は非常に高い。
So Amane's words brought a quiet tension and excitement to the room. So I listened to Amane's speech and believe it was sound logic.
質問いいでしょうか。
なんだい？
So what is it?
可能性が高いというのはどのくらいなんでしょうか。
そうだな。詳細な数字までは言えないが、大雑把に計算しておよそ 30% ってところじゃないかな。
低っ！ちょっとそれのどこが高いのよ。
So wait, why is 30% a good chance? That's kind of low.
全く起こらないのが普通だとしたら随分と高い方なんじゃないかしら。
But I know that occurrence is rare, so 30 is really good considering that's rare. And it was just as yours said. So the phenomenon known as morning glory occurs once in a few decades.
でもそれだとむしろ大安売りってことじゃない？去年にも規模は小さいものの出現してるわけで。
私と葵くんがフライトした1年前のあの雲は厳密にはモーニンググローリーとは呼べない。
So that cloud that we flew in, so that was around episode 39 and 40, that's not a morning glory.
じゃあ何なの？
ただの出来損ないだ。
It was just a cloud.
だがそれも推論の根拠となっている。これを見てほしい。
So Amane took the mouse and brought up more data to the screen. So we just reserved this project data from the newly constructed windmills. The data show detailed weather data around the area collected over the past few months. And Amane analyzed the numbers and just recently came to new conclusions. And the current display showed two types of data.
これが去年のあの雲が現れた日のデータで、こっちが28年前の8月26日のデータだ。
So from August 26th, that was about 28 years ago. And so a completely unknown date. And the data taken from two completely different dates truly resemble each other.
似てるわね。どういうこと？
はっきりとした記録はないが、この日モーニンググローリーの出来損ないが風ヶ浦で発生していたらしいんだ。
どういうことですか？つまり出来損ないの雲が現れた翌年に本物のモーニンググローリーが現れる可能性が高い。
Okay.
と言いたいんでしょ？
So it's possible that to say that a tree formation could happen this year, right? So Amane nods. Our eyes devoured the information on the screen. And at first glance, no matter how much we stared at them, the lists of numbers were meaningless and we couldn't make no sense of them, but in my speech won us over. So this data reflected 1 year, and it finally was starting to look significant.
それって夏の終わりじゃなきゃ発生しないものなんですか？
それはほぼ間違いない。発生のメカニズムは先ほど説明した通り、湖上空の水蒸気に筑波山に遮られていた湿った空気が流れ込み。
So the cool air runs off to the lake and it's blocked by the hill. The moisture flows into the atmosphere.
それはもう分かったから。
But still, Amane began once again to explain things from the beginning. Kotori held back her confusion. So sometimes such complex explanations just weren't good to hear. Sometimes you need to know the principles and the result.
いよいよってわけね。
So the payback for that day. So I could not deny a fearless smile forming on my mouth. So Amane's explanation was the spark that set fire to my motivation. I was ready for action. So the problem lies with the flight plan. So we must revise it with Amane's data. And as everyone questioned Amane, I sat and considered the factors.
去年私と葵くんが飛んだあの雲はだいたい上空 1km あたりに現れていたけど OB の高校日誌によると27年前のモーニンググローリーは上空 2km.
Okay, so it's twice as high.
さらに1キロ高く飛ばないといけないのか。
Amane rubbed her chin as she thought. So 2 kilometers is somewhat low for a cloud. Well, it's kind of getting there. So if I remember, it was like 1 kilometer was about 3,000 something feet. So at 2 kilometers, you're looking at maybe 6,000 or 7,000 feet. So since we are using a winch system to fly, we have yet to experience flying at that altitude.
せめて飛行機があったらな。そんな高さまで上がれるサーマルなんてあるの？
There should be, but... So I thought about it for a minute. The problem is, should a morning glory form, it would do so around dawn.
どういうこと？
サーマルがほとんどないんだ夜の間に地表は冷やされて温まるまでに時間がかかるけれど日の出を待ってそれからのんびり上がったんじゃ間に合わない
So you need sunlight to warm up the surface ground. And without the heat from the ground surface, thermals can't be formed. So I listened to Amane's explanation with a nod and added a few words. So, if possible, you'll want to start flying before sunrise, while it's still dim.
でもそれじゃサーマルを見つけるのは難しいと。逆に湖の上にならサーマルがあるんじゃないかな。
So the way heat is transferred is different between land and water. So basically, water heats up slowly compared to land. So land easily heats and cools, there you go, but with water, this is more difficult. And during the day, the ground temperature is cooler than over lakes and seas, creating a gentle downdraft. But at night, the opposite occurs. So the ground cools first, and the air above the not quite cool lake sends air currents upwards. Well, that would probably be difficult. It's different in the middle of the night, but at sunrise, it's also expected to be chilled.
だよね。
So of course, with us, we only have one flying technique. So we learned a lot from our mistakes last year, and this time we have to create a good flight plan. So up until now, we have talked about it countless times. However, now with the new data, we can come up with something a little bit more solid. So with a sidelong glance, Asa sighed as she opened her mouth.
けど、発生しない確率の方が高いわけよね。
So actually, Yoru.
それなのにそんなに張り切っちゃって。肩透かしだった時大丈夫なの？その時はその時よ。来年か、また再来年にでもチャレンジすればいいわ。
Well, then again, we were unprepared for the first event last year, but now we know better and we should be ready for this one. But if the cloud comes this year, it's absolutely impossible to run away from it. It's like, well, it does occur very rarely, so if we do miss it, there's a good chance we're going to have to wait for another 20 to 30 years before it comes again. So I put strong force into my words, to which Kotori and Ageha nods. So the two of us cannot forget last year's frustration.
そうしてまた超留年生が生まれるのね。ソアリング部のそんなのアマネちゃんだけで十分。
私らもさすがにそこまではね。いいじゃないか。人よりたくさん学生生活ができてお得だぞ。
But it's good, right? Kotori made a firm fist.
ハマネちゃんのようにならないためにも一発で決めるわよ。
And Ageha and I, with serious face expressions, nodded in agreement.
ところで誰が乗るんですか？
So who will fly? Oh, I'm sure it's Aoi.
だってあのグライダー2人乗りですよね。
So what about the second person? So Asa innocently asked questions popped in all of our heads, but none of us could make the words come out of our mouths. So we looked at each other, and then at the practicality, at the same time, we all gazed at Amane. So maybe you?
私は乗らないぞ。上空 2km なんて想像しただけで怖いからな。
I'll pass. It's too high.
あまねちゃんは本当にそれでいいの？あの人どかなかった場所に今度こそ行けるかもしれないのよ。
So Amane easily shook her head.
言っただろ。私がここでこうしているのは君たちを手伝うためだって。
So when she says it straight like that, it tends to sound kind of sad. So for the senior students, the glider is a thing of the past, or for senpai.
まあそれはおいおい考えればいいんじゃない？それより今はどうやって上がるかよ。
That's right. So for the time being, we don't even have a flight plan. And everyone else ate while discussing ideas. The argument became increasingly more heated. Okay, so the bath is open, and I wonder what happens next. So at least they got some more information about the actual morning glory based on historic data. And it's like, well, based on the trend that I saw in the past, it looks like last year was like a preparation for the big morning glory that's supposed to come this year, hopefully. But they'll have to figure out a way to climb twice as high as they anticipated last year. So anyways, so I walked into the dining hall as I towel dried my hair. And the usual crowd already came and went, and I usually was the last to take a bath, but today I went in first. And everyone was hanging out at our normal table.
姉さん、ババを引いたわね。そんなことないよ。全然そんなことないよ。朝ちゃんは素直でわかりやすいの。
Well, it's too obvious. So did Amane already head home?
お腹いっぱいになったからって葵にごちそうさま言っといてってさ。あまね先輩が食いしん坊でよかったよね。おかげでこうして遊びに来てくれるもん。
So food's a good way to convince Amane to come. If that wasn't the case, I would just be a babysitter composing poorly written emails. So, what about Kotori then?
部屋でこそ練してんじゃないかな。
The simulator. So the other day, Kotori borrowed Hibari's laptop, and she's been using it to practice on the simulator in her room. Unfortunately, people don't see Kotori's hard work as a virtue. Rather, they see her as being antisocial and acting perfect, I would say. And everyone calls her secret practice.
私呼んできましょうか？
No, it's good, so we should not bother her then.
でも葵先輩もう行っちゃうんですよね。
So is it going to be a problem if we leave Kotori alone? Don't you want to see her? Well, I'm not saying that we shouldn't meet with her at all. Just for the time being, well, it would be nice to see her at some time. Okay, so I'm going to go get ready.
喉乾いた。
お、やっと出てきた。
あんたまだいたんだ。あまねちゃんはもう帰ったの？
うん、帰ったよ。でもって私もそろそろ帰るところ。
さあ、気をつけてね。
葵ならもう出てったわよ。
So he left.
嘘、もうこんな時間？
Wait, now?
彼氏ほっぽり出してシミュレーターに夢中とは。さすが空に片思いしてる女ね。
So basically, you locked yourself away in the whatever place and you kind of left him behind.
いってらっしゃい言いたかったのに。
There really is a great view of the sky from here. So I was basically looking at the sky at night. It's like, well, it looks really different compared to what it is during the day. So while climbing up the slanted surface of the windmill hill, I gazed at the starry sky that spread along the hill. And it was clear today, giving a great view of the stars. On top of that, from a windmill hill, there are a few obstructions to block the view. But last year, the same sheet covering the glider was placed on the runway. And from the secret base, the view is better from the Flying Fish Manor's garden. And where the change in the atmosphere came from, I don't know. So you have to catch it within even a second time. So I'm doing the watch alone. However, in this remote location, it isn't safe to have one girl sitting here, so the shift is done in pairs. Okay. And I'll drop off and pick them up here. But having even two people here during night is worrying. And nothing but solar panels and windmill hills in the sprawling space. And as if neither human nor machine no longer touched the land. And Aoi's cell phone rings. A mail. And it's from Kotori. Well, I'm sorry I got all self-absorbed in my room. I just want to say goodnight and take care. So it was kind of mail that makes my heart go fuzzy. And I didn't realize it, but it seemed that I was lonely. And tomorrow morning, I'll get up and wait for you. So good night. Ha ha ha. And finally, a small smile escaped my lips. So I wouldn't have thought, or who would have thought something like this would be nice? And there were no words to truly describe it. Regarding the mail gave me a strange but relieving feeling. Well, it's because it was Kotori who sent the mail. Okay, so Aoi replies to Kotori, and let's see what he says to her. Oh, so thanks for your message. You were working hard on practicing, right?
なんで練習してたってバレてるんだろう。
So there's also aviation practice tomorrow, so there's no reason to overdo it. So just get some rest, okay? So we'll have more practices tomorrow, and you need to be in good shape. And if you go home, could you help get breakfast ready? So I love you, and good night.
好きだよ。だって。
And Kotori's happy. With a hat. Quack.
おやすみ、葵くん。よーし、明日に備えて寝るぞ。
So, time for a bright day tomorrow.
Quack, quack.
Yeah, says Hat.
その前に私も好きだよってメールしよっと。
That'd be good.
お、いたいた。おーい、あげはー。
Okay, so it looks like the other people here today to watch the flight. So we have Masatsugu.
おお、麻婆じゃん。それにあかりさんも。
こんにちは、姫木さん。約束通り見学させてもらいに来たわ。
どうもこんにちは。お待ちしてました。どうぞ存分に見てってください。
で、そのグライダーはどこにあるんだ？
今訓練飛行中。だいぶ高く上がってるからあ、いたいた。
So it's currently in the sky, and oh yeah, that's where it is. So basically, look up.
どこだ？
Where?
この双眼鏡を使ってください。
ありがとう。どのあたりかしら。
So where is it? Even with binoculars.
ほら長細い雲がある下あたりに翼が太陽の光を反射してるのを見えません？今光っ。
あれがそうなの？
Oh, sorry, I went too fast. So let's just go back and hear Agiha speak. Wait.
ほら長細い雲がある下あたりに翼が太陽の光を反射してるのを見えません？今光った。
グライダーが飛んでいるところは初めて見たけど、すごいのね。
That's...
あんなに高く。
日によりますけど、理論上ならそれこそ雲の上にだって行けますから。ほれ。
おお、ほんとだ。すげえ飛んでる。エンジンついてないんだろ？よく飛べるな。
Wow, that's exciting. So something with no engine in the sky.
誰が操縦を？
So who's flying?
小鳥です。
ハバネさんが？
Wait, so Habane's flying? Habane-san?
空を飛ぶのに足を使う必要はありませんから。葵が一緒に乗って教えてるんです。
So don't worry. So we did modify the cockpit so that it could allow Kotori to fly, and I was teaching her too. So.
なるほど。
So what happened?
おいおい、やべえぞ。なんか回転しながら落ちてる。
So what's going on in the cockpit? So the glider fell towards the ground, spinning in a corkscrew, and the field of vision spins and the sense of balance is lost. And as you turn the screw to the outer side, you experience G-force. Well, so don't lose your grip on things. Deal with G-force. If you do it like I taught you, you can do it. So first, put the aileron in neutral. So Kotori pulls the yoke in neutral. Okay, so rotate the yoke in opposite direction of the glider spin. So before I start instructing her, Kotori already steered in the direction opposite from the rudder. And immediately the yoke leaned towards the direction it did before. So try not to let the nose fall too much. So the main wings need to take the lifting power back. And finally, when the nose of the glider felt just right and the wings were able to stream airflow, regular flight was restored. So when you place the rudder in neutral, it was as if nothing at all happened, and we flew like normal. That's good. So that was a great recovery. So I think I was trying to teach Kotori how to recover the glider in the event of a deep corkscrew dive, or like a stall. And I said, well, you need to know how to handle this. So when normally returned, Kotori took a look at the outside landscape and sighed deeply in relief. So we didn't almost avoid an accident. I had intentionally let the glider spin. There you go. So we had just been practicing spin recovery tactics. So we didn't lose practically any altitude. So that was great.
さすがに普通のストーリーより焦るわね。
So to stall means that the main wings lose connection with the air currents, creating the phenomenon of losing lifting power. And without lifting, the glider will fall. However, if you know the right procedures, you can recover from a stall. And so for the sake of study, you need to create a stall situation in practice. So basically have a feel about all the G-forces that are affecting you when your aircraft is installed. And that's something you can't simulate with a simulator. And the most important thing concerning a glider pilot is they have to practice. And just as right now, spin and stall procedures, even in practice, are still quite vicious. And a spin is where the body of a plane turns like a screw while falling. In a worst case scenario situation, a weak point in the frame of the body could be lost, forcing the pilot to parachute. So compared to the response time, you dealt with the procedure very precisely. So were you scared?
あんまりリカバリーできるイメージが頭の中にあったからかな。
I see. So during a stall, the pilot becomes confused. And while spinning, the pilot experiences the sensation of falling, and it's pretty scary feeling. It's natural to become flustered with your only thought being, I gotta get control. However, in that confusion, should the pilot perform the wrong maneuver, they could worsen the situation into the most horrible of circumstances. And Kotori did lose confidence of her calm control in this scenario and recovered quickly. So she had a level head for the first recovery. And the first time I practiced this maneuver, I remember losing my calm pretty quickly.
なんとなく感覚はつかめてきたわ。
Oh, so don't get cocky. So during stalls and spins, if you forget the fear, your ability to react might be slow. So you might be too overconfident and you're going to let the stall get worse. So when talking about stalls, there are two types of practice. So the first is how to recover, and the second is teaching the body signs to tell when it's about to stall. So unlike jets like Boeing and Airbus, they have stick shakers where the computer detects whether or not it's about to stall and it vibrates the joystick, or you actually hear a stall warning. But in the glider, everything is mechanical, and you'll have to learn different ways to detect stall without those aids. So there are several signs. More importantly than reading the meters is understanding the feeling of flying. In the case, body is introduced to the feel of G-force. So I'm pretty sure when the aircraft is about to stall, it's going to become very rough and it's going to vibrate so much. So once experienced, the body will remember the sensation enough to prompt the pilot into taking measures to prevent a stall. And the experience of recovery, of course, is also important. So thanks to practices like this, I think Amane and I escaped some harm.
あの時は見ていてヒヤヒヤしたわ。下降気流にはまったんだっけ。
So a year ago, we experienced a strong downdraft and we suddenly lost flight power and fell. And we were so absorbed in the moment that it seemed the glider fixed itself upright. I think it's due to mastering these skills in practice. Okay, so let's find a thermal again and take it up to the sky.
Hi.
And to continue practicing recoveries, we had to make a good enough height to fall safely.
なるほど。意図的にそういった状態にしてそこから回復する訓練を行っていたのですか。
So at least Akari knows what's going on in the sky. It's like, oh, so they're trying to learn how to handle the aircraft in the event of abnormal flight conditions.
危ねえことするんだな。
大丈夫よ。いざとなったら葵がフォローするから。
やはり空を飛ぶというのはそれだけ危険なことなのね。
あいつら降りてこないぞ。
Wait, so they're still in the sky?
また上がってもう一回やるんでしょ。私らにはあんまり時間が残されてないからね。
どういう意味かしら。
天音先輩の予言によると、あと10日以内にモーニンググローリーが現れる可能性が高いんです。
So we're trying to get ready for the big event.
モーニンググローリー？
湖の上に大きな雲の回廊がかかるんです。それを飛ぶのが私たちの目的だから。
望月先輩が写真立てに飾っていたあの不思議な雲のことね。
小鳥にその気があるなら、あの子をメインパイロットにして飛ばせてやってもいいんじゃないかって葵たちとも話してるんです。本人にはまだ内緒なんですけど。
Well, we're not going to reveal who will be the actual pilot during that day.
まずはみっちりしごいて、本当に小鳥で行けるのか見極めないと。
But, well, I'm pretty sure we know who it is based on which route I'm playing.
そう。それにしても変わったわね、ハバネさん。慶風学園に入学してきた頃から随分と。
そんな頃から知ってるんですか？
ええ、もちろんよ。足の不自由な生徒が入学してくると聞いて気にかけていたのよ。
So she is quite famous because she's disabled and is entering our school. So it would be a topic among everyone.
さすが生徒会長になるために生まれてきたお人だわ。
まあ同じ学年で知らないやつはいなかったけどな。態度超悪いって有名だったもんな。
だよね。2年で同じクラスになった時はどうしてやろうかと。
どうした？誰だあれ？こっち来るぞ。
So who's here?
あれって。
Uh-oh. So Kotori inside the thermal gradually took the glider higher. So we'll be good anytime now.
もう少し上がれそう。もっと高く飛んでもいい？
So the purpose of today's train was to cover stall recovery, and there was no reason to fly higher than this. But the way Kotori asked, I couldn't say no, so I have to let her do what she wants. So let's see how much higher we can go. So being able to catch a thermal to fly higher is important practice after all.
ありがとう。
So Kotori flew the glider around the updraft that the eyes couldn't see. Little by little, she brought the glider higher and higher. And this is the place you always want to see, right?
入道雲って成層圏まで突き抜けてるんでしょ？
So they really are big, aren't they?
その中へ入れば私たちも成層圏まで飛べるのかしら？
So you might be able to fly up here, but this is where we should stop. So inside cumulonimbus, the air flows in downbursts. Never mind the things like thunder, we should keep to safe first. So even jumbo jets will avoid cumulonimbus clouds if they can. Well, they have weather radars, and they can sense to see if the storm is too dangerous to go through. Well, besides for us, at these heights, the sky is like an unknown world for us. And I would rather stay safe and be able to go home than taking a chance of going into bitter briefly without incident.
空って高いのね。
So beyond the skies is space. And Kotori absently muttered space as she gazed out beyond the canopy. And from her profile, she looked like a mysterious child. And when Amane flew, she kept this curiosity hidden behind the shining eyes of a young person, but Kotori gave the impression of being very young. So people usually ask to have childlike feelings. So, about what you said before, So about me, when I was getting Gaze at the Sky, you said I was really cool.
そうよ。ため息が出るくらいかっこいいわ。
So how about you, Kotori? So flying in the sky like this, so this is a true Kotori.
そうかな。
So this Kotori is surely the true Kotori, it seems. So Kotori glanced quickly back at me to ask,
本当の私？
Really? Well, I don't know you from long ago, but this is you, I see. So well, it's a feeling I have. So when we fly like this, it warms my heart and it makes me excited. Well, it is strange, but when we fly together, I somehow know more than before that Kotori is my girlfriend. And seeing her face expression that could only have seen while flying in the sky, expressions that only I can see. And when I say excited, I mean I want to get to know her more, and I want to see her more.
本当の私？
So Kotori muttered while thinking. Well, I'm sorry to bring up such an odd subject during this flight, so just forget about it.
一時的に忘れる。
Okay, so for now that's good. So this time, take the glider into a spin yourself and then set her right again.
はい。
Alright, so let's do it. And I instructed Kotori into a spin and she flew us. And after performing so many spin maneuvers, Kotori became tired and it was time to land. And the body from practice also had the burden of being inspected was necessary. And we brought the glider to its final approach towards the runway. Okay, so today the crosswind was strong, even the runway with the nose pointing upwards.
了解。
And Kotori safely and acutely landed the glider on the runway.
おかえりなさい、小鳥先輩、葵先輩。
Okay, so they're back on ground, and I'm going to go ahead and stop here for this episode. So, this flight went well once again, and this time Kotori was able to learn how to do stall recoveries. And it does remind me of an incident or an accident in the past where, so it was actually the captain was so happy that he let his kids inside the cockpit, and then he went too far by having his children be at the controls. And even though the daughter was cleared of wrongdoing, the son, he accidentally disconnected the autopilot and he was flying the plane even though he obviously has no skills, and then he accidentally took the whole jet into a corkscrew dive and the plane stalled, and by the time the captain or the dad was able to regain control, it was too late and the plane crashed. And that was when they tried to figure out how the family could have saved the airplane. And it turns out that if they let the controls go, the computer system would take over and it would help recover the airplane from its corkscrew dive. And I'm sure the computer tricks, those are all the things that Kotori was doing while she was learning how to do stall recovery. So anyways, we're going to see what happens next and whether or not Kotori will be ready for the actual event, which is the real morning glory. And with that in mind, I'll see you later.